Oh, it takes a long time to get on air.
Yeah.
Strange. Here we go. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. My name is Bente Liljaby. I'm going to be your host today. And we are going to talk about big data, one of the hot topics of in the world of technology and society at large, actually. And we are going to see how Earth observations applied with big data technology are being used to understand better the link between climate change and activities in the Arctic region. Before we start with the program today, I would like to do some housekeeping and some weather reports as we wait for the registered attendees to join us. So, the weather report. This is a trademark of the INSPIRE Hackathon webinars, just so you know, if this is your first one. And we go south, I think, to Nuno. How is the weather and where are you?
Okay, I'm in Lisbon, by the way, and the weather is not a bit cloudy today. Yes, in the morning, sunny, perfect, but now it's a bit cloudy, and I think we are having some rain in the night. So,
oh gosh, yeah. We
Not
just
good.
learned earlier today that it's always sunny in Portugal.
We have some sun, but
okay, and we go up north. Dimitri, how is the weather and where are you?
So hello everyone, I'm in Prague now, and outside it's a little bit overcasted, and I think around 2-3 degrees. not so great, but inside it's quite warm.
That's a good thing. So here where I am, I'm in Norway, and we have a perfect winter day still. I'm looking out now and looking at a beautiful sunset, but a little bit overcast also, but very nice weather. Okay, so with that, I think we can start the program. First of all, I want to bring your attention to the chat box. We want to hear from you. We want you to ask us questions. After the presentations, there will be a possibility to ask questions to each of the presenters, and you will also be able to discuss with us if you like at the end of the webinar. But in order for you to familiarize you with the chat box system where you ask the questions, you can start by saying who you are and what's the weather like, for instance. That would be interesting. Okay, we got another speaker today. You came just in at the last minute, Sarah. But before we give Sarah the floor, I would like to start to introduce the others. Nuno, can you introduce you to the audience and tell you who you are and a little bit what you're doing?
Okay. My name is Nuno Almeida. I work in the space industry for around 14 years, developing ground segment solutions for the satellite missions. And in the past years, I've been working on developing exploitation platforms with big data techniques. So during my presentation, you will understand a bit more why big data is coming. So,
excellent. I'm very excited to hear about big data. Yeah. And Dimitri, can you introduce yourself as well?
So my name is Dimitri Kozhuk, and here today I will present you some visualization tools that has been developed within DataBio project. It's basically intended to display some data related to climate and oceanology. And about myself, I'm basically cartographer, geoinformatics scientist, and quite interested in the different methods of data visualization.
Excellent. Dimitri and we will actually join together presenting one of these teams that is participating in the Prague INSPIRE Hackathon as well, and you will learn more about that later. Do I hear that you are on the line, Sarah? Not sure. Okay, then we'll wait. I'll introduce Sarah to you later. More than my name, I'm Bente Liaby. As I said, I'm here on behalf of Plan for All, one of the lead coordinator, the initiative, the initiator of the INSPIRE hackathons. And the Prague INSPIRE hackathon is one of the satellite INSPIRE hackathons. I also wear the NextGEOSS project hat. NextGEOSS is a Horizon 2020 project, and we are building the next generation European data hub and platform. And I work together with Nuno on that. So I will like to start to hear about big data, Nuno, and I will introduce Sarah to you later if we sort out the technical problems. So Nuno, the floor is yours. Oh, I can hear you, Sarah.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Do you have any chance to turn on your camera?
Let's see. I was going to do the slideshow with screen share, if that works.
Yes, but we will do it in this order. Nuno Almeida will start to introduce us to the concept of big data, and we will learn more about that and how it's being applied. Then we will hear from a team of the Prague INSPIRE Hackathon contestants addressing visualization of Arctic geodata and fisheries statistics. And then at the end, we will learn, and here you are, Sarah. We will learn from Sarah how you, as a participant of a hackathon, can benefit the most. So welcome to join us, Sarah. And since we are, you just made it in time, maybe you could say a few words about yourself.
And I know we want to get to Nuno. So my name is Sarah Reef. I'm the founder of Experimental Civics. And the last 6 years, I've been doing a lot of work with just connecting communities with technology. So my space is social innovation, hackathons, design thinking, and very interesting projects like that.
Excellent. So that will be our gift to you, the hackathon community, some tips from Sarah on how you can benefit the most. But now, Nuno, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I will share my presentation.
And the rest of us will turn off our cameras and our mics so that Nuno can give the presentation without any disturbance. And then also you, Nuno, can you turn off your camera?
Yeah, just a minute.
And then we will come back to you, I promise.
Okay, here it is. So
there you go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Bente. Thank you very much for the introduction. And now let's start with this nice topic, which is big data challenges in Earth observation. My presentation will cover the concept, a bit of a concept of what is Earth observation, what is the Copernicus program, what is big data, and in the end, I'm merging the three of them. That will result in the challenges in EO. Then we will see a new concept that is coming from these challenges, which is the move processing close to the data. So, Earth observation, by definition, is the gathering of information about the Earth through remote sensing technologies supplemented by Earth survey techniques, encompassing collections, analysis, and presentation of data. So, based on this definition, it is tightly attached to the concept of the data systems. So, these data systems support this data collection and data analysis. So, for these data systems, we have satellite data collections and also in situ data collections. And on top of them, we have the value-adding services, which is services that extract the knowledge right from this data. And the Copernicus program is the European Union Earth Observation Program that started back in 1998. So the main focus of this program and the main goals is to monitor the environment, to improve environmental policy effectiveness, to increase the general knowledge of the state of the planet, to protect people and assets, to facilitate the adaptation to climate change, foster the downstream applications in a number of fields, and helping managing emergency and security related situations. So these are the main goals of the Copernicus program. And for this, the program has launched a series of satellites with different sensors attached, which are the Sentinels. These are 6 missions, with each of these missions has 2 satellites. So in total, there are 12 different satellites collecting data through our planet on a regular basis. Also, we have a set of Earth observation contributing missions that also deliver data to the Copernicus program, and also different types of in situ sensors that collect all types of data that is around around us. So with these all merged together, we have 6 thematic services that foster and exploit this data. We have the Copernicus atmosphere, the marine, the land, the climate change, the emergency and security service. So all of these is delivering added value information and added value products. So basically it delivered to us data already treated, exploited, and in formats that we can start using. So all this data is open and is available for free, which is quite interesting for the scientists and for service developers to bring innovative solutions to societal problems. So the concept of big data, this big data is massive data sets that are so large, so varied, so different, and so complex that the storage and analysis and visualization is difficult. So you have five points that characterize big data. You have its volume, which is data, big chunks of data that you have stored somewhere and you need to process it. And we are talking about from terabytes to exabytes. You have the velocity, which is the motion of the data, the speed of the data that is passing by. So this is high-speed data streams that deliver data on a continuous basis. You have the variety, multiple products, multiple formats, multiple standards that we have to deal with. We have the veracity, which is basically linked to the quality of this data that we are reaching. And we have the value. How do we bring and extract value from all these different types of data that we have? It's basically monetize the data. So this, with the appearance of the Copernicus program, was a bigger of a game changer to the Earth observation industry, because massive amount of data, open and free of charge, started to become available. This 15 years ago, this was not possible. To access the data was even a very bureaucratic process, and it was technical and technological speaking, it was very cumbersome. So nowadays we have more than 10 petabytes per year of new data, and we are talking about 3 satellites. We have 12. So the amount of data is quite large. And this leads to a different type of dissemination infrastructures across Europe. So we need to have collaborative ways to distribute this data and to make this data available to the public. This leads also to technology developments and also to ICT and Earth observation cross-fertilization. So these 2 sectors need to be closely linked now. And they need to be there needs to be interoperability with other non-EO data sets to extract even more knowledge. And we have the European public programs as enablers for the growth and jobs in the downstream sector. So with all this amount of data, the traditional way that the scientists had and the service developers had to exploit the data, that was select a region, select a product, and download to their local facilities, this is not possible anymore. So the easiest approach and the most effective approach in terms of resources is to put the processing close to the data where the data is, where the data is staging. So the users need platforms with scalable computing resources and also scalable in data resources. So the users need tools to discover, to access, to transform the data. They need support in application development and integration. And they need collaborative environments to promote the knowledge sharing. It's by sharing knowledge that we move forward. It's by sharing tools, sharing applications, and chaining applications that we develop innovative products. So download to local infrastructures is something that nowadays doesn't make too much sense in a global context. So what we are addressing in NextGEOSS is precisely that. I mean, we have a data hub, which is a unique access point to a large pool of data around Europe, and not only Europe, also US as well, which means that any service developer just query our data hub for a product, and we immediately give them the best link to retrieve this product. You don't need to search in individual catalogs. The user have access to cloud resources. He can use, now today, if his services is using one CPU and tomorrow 100 CPU, we are able to deliver. And also, we never leave the users alone. They need support for the developers. So we also have a set of tools and a set of resources that help the user to exploit and bring his service to the platform. So this is a project with 27 entities and 13 countries, and it has 3 years of implementation. So we are past now 1.5 years now. This means that this concept of move processing to the data includes a set of key domains that are in the middle. We need cloud computing. We need data portals. We need interactive computing environment, geographic portal, big data analytics tools, Earth observation tools. So between the user and the resources, we need to put this layer of tools and applications that help him exploiting what is being delivered by the different sensors that are above us. So that's it. I would just to give you a bit of a context of what we are addressing and what big data is bringing now, and the Copernicus program is bringing now. And I mean, I'm quite happy to hear for some questions. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Nuno. Let's come back to y'all. If you have any questions to Nuno right now, please write them in the chat box. Can you unshare your screens, and the rest of you come back to the webinar room? Cameras on, guys.
Okay, here it is.
So, yes, if you have any questions, please write them in the chat box. And Nuno, I have, while we are waiting for that, I have some questions for you. So what we see, well, first of all, we see here big data and applied on Earth observation. This is a point. The big data is a hot topic that we discussed going into this room, that there's really a great interest in the topic of big data, but it's applicable across all societal areas and type of data. But now what you were explaining to us very nicely, I think, thank you so much for that, is how it can be used for Earth observations in using Earth observations. Now, Earth observations alone going back to different types of data, is of course valuable. But do you have any examples of how you combine these Earth observations data with other types of data in the context of big data?
Yeah, I can give you example, and I can give you a maritime example. For instance, we have many times the local authorities, for instance, I can give you the Portuguese example, they want to understand if we have oil spills, what ships are in that area during that time. So with Earth observation, we can easily have a map of the different with different products of images that we can process. We can detect ships. We can cross-check these ships with the receivers that are on land, which is the AIS receivers, and we can pinpoint and cross-check who is where. So this is a very simple example that you can apply with big data techniques through the whole Europe at a certain time. And through the whole Europe, you would need to have much more products, much more sensors, much more correlations, but all this data is already there.
Right. So what you are saying is that you are, when you're referring to the AIS for ships, we will come back to that actually in the next talk. But do you actually process the data, oil spill, with the position of the ships? Do you use big data analytics to do that?
Yeah, we have techniques to do that. And this is part of what we call the downstream services. Because then you can go to the local authorities and sell this as a service. And you are using data that comes from the Copernicus mission. You are using data that is being collected by your sensors network that you have on your here on land.
Yeah.
So this is something that it's there. So we just need to bring them together. That's why we have this concept of the platforms to bring data together.
And now you're giving me the perfect segue to the next presentation. I don't see any questions. Don't be shy, guys. Ask in the chat box questions if you have that. You will get a chance after the next talk. And the segue was exactly this combination. The data is there. There's a great potential of combinations. And the next presentation, we are going to talk about one of the teams that are participating in the Prague INSPIRE Hackathon. It's called a visualization of Arctic geodata and fisheries statistics. And I will put on a different hat together with Dimitri. So Dimitri, I ask you first to put on your to share the screen, because I'm going to present part of it, because I'm part of this team as well. And Dimitri is also part of it. So we will be sharing the presentation here. So Dimitri, can you share the screen? And he's doing that. And then we can remove our video like this. Yeah, thank you so much. So I will start to introduce the concept of the problem and the topic that we address. And then Dimitri will take over towards the end and explain more on the exact visualization techniques and work we plan to do there. And you will understand why it is like this. So, and now we are at the Prague INSPIRE Hackathon. But this is this project here, visualization of Arctic geodata and fisheries statistics, is a follow-up on next slide, Dimitri. A team that worked in the Antwerp INSPIRE Hackathon in September last year. We are the team here. You see there is a number of people. We come from the NextGEOSS project, as you have learned a little bit about already. And another Horizon 2020 project, Interus, which is dedicated to Earth observation in the Arctic region, and Data Bio, which is another project with a lot of pilots demonstrating the use of Earth observations in various societal fields. Now we together, the next slide. Dimitri? Yeah. So the area that we address is sustainable aquaculture and bioeconomy. And we combined data from Copernicus on the sea ice edge. And we want to combine that with fishery statistics, so another type of data, not Earth observations, and to investigate the potential links between the climate change and the activities, in this case, fisheries in the polar region, and specifically around Svalbard. And the next slide. We started to access this data and using a technology APIs, so an automated way of accessing these data. That was the first investigation we needed to do. The data is not necessarily ready to be automatically accessed via the internet. So the next. And we collected a set of data, and we made that data available on the NextGEOSS data hub that you have heard about. So this is prepared on the NextGEOSS data hub. Next slide. And this is a list of the different types of data that we investigated. The next. And what we used, this is the QGIS is a popular tool, and CCAN is the platform tool that we used. Okay, next. And we used a whole bunch of different types of APIs. You see OpenData, OpenDAP, OGC, standardized tools, and also from Barents Watch, one of a portal that consists of data from a whole range of Norwegian authorities. Okay, next. And we want to, so you have noticed the name, the INSPIRE Hackathon, and that is because we want to make data compliant, so the work that we do compliant with the INSPIRE directive. Basically, it means that we want to make data interoperable. So even though the INSPIRE directive is a European directive, in general, the same principles of making data interoperable is a global principle. So we follow that, and we also want to make exploit the enormous resources that the Copernicus program is giving us, as described by Nuno already. And we also want to link this to the group of Earth observation GEOSS data sharing system. Okay, next. We also, so Nuno already mentioned that oil spill, combining Earth observations data from Copernicus with other types of data, so related to oil spill, the same principle goes for this. In this case, we are addressing fishing. You have shipping and you have Arctic tourism, which is potentially, the environment, the changes in climate change. The climate change is both facilitating new types of tourism in a very vulnerable area in the Arctic. So there are policy issues to be considered there. So that's why we are trying to gather the information to have these policies being made based on knowledge and true data. And we want them to make them interoperable. And here is the link between this project that started at the last hackathon, and now we concluded that the next step would be visualization. So that this information actually can be used. So the visualization that we are talking about is time series and trends. That's what the first level of ambition. So the next, please. There is potential as to do business, and we also consider that we should that there were potential to work with other Inspire hackathon teams. And this is, so I'm mentioning this because this is one of the purposes of the Inspire hackathon, is to create this platform, this framework, so that the different Horizon 2020 projects, the different teams that are working around in Europe in particular, this far, it's actually global. The Inspire Hackathon is for everybody, but we want to facilitate that. And we in the Antwerp Inspire Hackathon, we discovered a couple of teams that we would like to, that would be fruitful to work with. I'm coming back to it. Next slide, please. Yeah. And I already mentioned some of the benefits we can have from combining these data in this fashion: natural resources management, food security monitoring, secure activities. I mean, there's a lot of natural resources in the Arctic region, and safety is an issue. So secure activities for the industry is really pivotal in order to make even sustainable and responsible use of these resources. And then, of course, for economic foresight, this information is what we are trying to, this combinations of data and information that we are set out to do in this team it will contribute to economic foresight. So the next slide, please. Yes, and we concluded in September at the Antwerp Inspire Hackathon that the next step would be visualization. So, and this is why I will give now the floor to Dimitri, because this is exactly what we are doing in this team, in this Prague INSPIRE Hackathon. So this is what we are working on. And if you're interested in this, while Dimitri is, well, just continue sharing there. I think you have the slides in the same presentation, Dimitri. Yes. So Dimitri, the floor is yours now. Tell us about the visualization part.
So about visualization part, basically, it follows, as Bente has said, it basically follows as a task that we undertook during the hackathon in Antwerpen, but also it relates to some projects that are currently developed within DataBio. These projects, they are like related about managing natural resources, in particular about fishery, and there are two of them. One is basically trying to make some correlation between the physical and biochemical parameters of the water in the ocean with the fish that has been caught at those places. Basically, after estimating correlations, they're supposed to emerge some mathematical models that will basically predict the fish catches in different parts of the ocean according to the environmental conditions. So this is the first one, and the second one, it's quite related. It's about which Bente has been speaking. It's mostly focusing on the northern part of the ocean around Norway and around basically Svalbard. Because it's sort of like separated between two pilots, there are emerging basically two tools for visualization that we will try to during this hackathon to explore, and maybe try to take some features from one solution, some features for another solution, to basically improve both. And the first one about which I'm going to speak is developed by us, by Les Project company. Basically, the main technology it's called HS Layers library. It's a library for mapping, for interactive mapping, and it is combined with Cesium library, which allows a display of the data in 3 dimensions. The data that we have been trying to visualize with this technology, it comes from Copernicus Marine Environment Monitoring services, in particular WMS time services, and some that are of our interest that monitor physical parameters of the water and also biochemical parameter of the water, because these parameters, they influence the behavior of tuna fish in the Indian Ocean. And as well, we tried to create our own custom WMS time services, and we also displayed those services within our solution. So this is how it looks like. Basically, the screen is like typical screen that shows the Earth in 3 dimensions, and here you on the right you have the list of WMS layers that are read from this Copernicus Marine Environment Monitoring services, and you can go through the time. There is time slider down, and it basically covers the time series which is available through this Copernicus services. Also, along with going back and forth in time, you can change the depth, because there are some layers here, in particular salinity, temperature. I think most of these layers that you see, they have also depth dimension. So Copernicus program provides the measurement of this parameter at the surface of the water, but also at different depth levels. There are like about I think 50 depth layers, and you can see how these parameters change with the change in depth. So then you have this main slider of time and depth, but also if you click on any layer, you can see the parameters of this layer, and as well you can change by clicking on the layer in which depth you want to see the values, in which time you want to see the values of this particular layer. And here is the example of our custom WMS time service that we created based on the data we downloaded from Copernicus Marine. It is useful because sometimes from the data that they provide, you can calculate your own synthetic parameters, and or you, for example, can create download raw data and create more maybe beautiful visualization. So it is also useful. But I think that during this hackathon in Prague, there will be more services added. For example, as Bente was mentioning, this Barents Watch data that provides information about fish catches. I think it is also nice to have. Maybe there will be also some weather forecasts, and because the weather forecasts are crucial for people who are in the sea. So it will be other relevant services added. And then also it emerged some tool for visualization of similar data within this pilot that is focusing mostly on Nordic seas. It's developed by Syntef, and it is the solution is based on Open Layers library, D3 library, Crossfilter, and also DCGS library. It's basically all for interactive maps and graphs, and basically looking for some filter of one parameter by another parameter. You can say like finding correlation between different parameters that are available of the data. This is some print screens. I don't know whether it is already fully functioning solution or it is just a demo version, to tell you the truth. But from what is displayed here in the print screens that they have sent, it looks quite promising. You see nicely visualized map with fish catches, and then you see in graphs correlation between some variables that they have at disposition. So basically, our expectations is that during this hackathon in Prague, we will try to basically meet to see how to combine these solutions and maybe display more data and calculate some correlations between data, maybe create some mathematical model if it will be time for this, but at least it will be good to explore all relevant data sources and to visualize them in a nice interactive way. So I think this is all from our side.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for helping out and then explaining the visual and technical part there. Yes, let's come back. If you have questions to the last presentation, please do write it in the chat box. We will be more than happy to answer. Now I cannot ask a question to myself as I did the last, which I normally do to give time for questions to be asked. So in this case,
do you want me to ask a question then, to help you out?
Question. What's your thoughts? I mean, we are basically another example of using big data, combining it with other type of data. So
that's correct. So this is a great example on how you can grab different sources, join them together to build something different. So I would like to reinforce that also what you are doing is to try to work on this data to deliver information that in the end of the day, it's what the citizens are expecting, information. So all these libraries that Dimitri was talking about is to simplify the work and to give the floor to even other people explore this information. So this is the dynamic that is being created in Earth observation. So it's quite good.
Yeah. So I think so. So I actually, this project, this hackathon project, the team, that is a continuation of a former team. I will present this work at the Arctic Frontier next week, immediately after the hackathon. And the topic there is how can you use this information for decision making, and so visualization we thought was is the first thing to make it more understandable information. But we are in the middle. I feel like we are in the middle of the transition from the raw data we get from the satellites and from other sources, and then transform it into something understandable, layer by layer. You need to make it make sure that it's based on true data, the reality, and then understand.
Visualization has a key role there.
Yeah, it helps. It seems
absolutely key.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so, for us working with technology and fancy, very advanced technology, we forget that very simple, like just visualize it. That's sometimes it's as simple as that. Except that you need to do some, some technical work here. But at least, the concept of just visualize it. And with that, Sarah, how can we be better at working in hackathons? It's a special kind of framework and setting to work together. And we are eager to hear about some of your ideas.
Yeah, I will. Let's see if I can do this. Share my screen.
You found a button. Yes, you did. And then you changed your mind.
All right. Let me know if you can see that.
It's coming, I think. Okay, this will be. We will see how it goes. I hope that we will be able to see. Yeah, and can you also turn off your camera?
Yes, let me exit out of this. And I apologize, I've never used Webinar Jam before, so I am learning very quickly today.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Right. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. No,
all right, and you guys see my slides?
You went back to not presentation mode. There you are.
All right. So yeah, no, this has been very exciting to hear from everyone else on how you are tackling big data and interoperability. I know that I have a life science hackathon coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm super excited to kind of see how there's potential to collaborate across the world. But basically, I'm the founder of Experimental Civics. And so for the last 6 years, I've been working to really, beyond the hackathons themselves, focus on the people. If you don't have connections or different team members coming together, strangers, and working well together, it's very hard to have sometimes successful projects and have people feel good about, donating their time and being part of all the work that we're doing. So founded the company after all of that work and success with working with different teams. So the agenda for today, I know I have very little time, but just talking a bit about why team dynamics are important. I'm sure that many people on the webinar know why they're important, but it's good for reminders. And then just jump into a few activities that I have done in the past, especially if you have a newcomer to your group, or sometimes even having a fun bond within the team. Sometimes it's nice to play a game and bring us back to ourselves. And yeah, so first, why team dynamics are important. So the first one is productivity. So teams are always more productive when you know each other, you trust each other, you can play to your strengths. I know I didn't mention weaknesses here, but also understanding the weaknesses that all of us have, and being in a healthy place to actually start your project and achieve your outcome, especially at the end of a hackathon, which is, pressured time and limited resources, and sometimes you don't even have the skills that you need at the table. Second component too is truly happiness. So for a lot of these hackathons that I've run or participated in, I have more fun when, of course, I'm happy and I'm welcome and I'm donating my time and my skills, usually for free, just to get some of these projects going. And so happiness also is a big part of sustainability. So the more fun and healthy environment you can make your team, you'll usually find that people want to stay and they want to continue working on your project even after the hackathon. So that's always great. Third is creativity. So when you are around people, you've got this healthy, productive team that are working together, it raises the bar of excellence. So for example, what I was hearing from the other speakers, actually getting to points where you're really having great visualizations of your data, even though it's one hackathon, it is doable. And, it just raises the bar for creativity in your product and app. You might find that there's some things that you weren't aware of in terms of how to communicate the visualization and the messaging, but all of that comes back down to people. And so making sure you have a good environment there is key. So the next step is really playing to your strengths. So when I'm first bringing a team together, I like to be very clear about, our technical skills. What are we bringing in terms of our experience? But beyond that, also our passions. If someone really wants to focus on the visualization piece versus the other person wants to really focus on the raw data, whatever it is, it's important to understand that it's a win-win situation when you're in a hackathon environment. So asking people what they're passionate about and working that into your project is key. Another thing to take a look at is learning. So at hackathons that I have participated in, I know that I have wanted to level up my skills or work with someone who was more experienced, or bring together different entities. Like I have worked alongside city governments to understand procurement and policies. I have also invited university research professors so that we have a dynamic team that can really be at the cutting edge of, understanding if we do produce this project, what would it take to, get it to fruition, but then have the government, for example, or some other entity really take it on. So I think asking questions about what are you wanting to learn, who do you need on your team, it's also important. And the last one is discoveries. I don't know about you, but I have definitely been in hackathons when, I was doing something or being part of a certain project, and then I learned something new. And I learned that it was a new strength or a new weakness of mine. And so I think, again, going back to that healthy environment, it's important to look at, what are we discovering about ourselves in all of these hackathon events as well, so that you also understand, what you're bringing to it, and perhaps maybe being inspired yourself at the Inspire Hackathon and seeing what else, you can achieve. So great quote, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. And I love that quote. So for me, the first activity, and this is for anyone that's on the webinar, is just to ask yourself, what is your best team experience that you have been a part of, and why was it the best? And you don't have to answer it, or you can share in the chat box. But, when you think about those great teams that you were part of, when you designed a really great visualization or product, you have to ask yourself why. And you'll realize that so much of it comes down to the people, the team, and how everyone was feeling and collaborating together. So another activity that I have done is Hello New Person. So I call it the My People exercise. So I have been in rooms where I've had to bring together over 600 strangers to hack on challenges. And I love this exercise. So basically what you do is you say that my people love, something that you love, and then everyone either who loves the same thing stands up or raises their hand. And it just shows this camaraderie in the room. And people have always had so much fun with it. Some examples could be, my people love dogs, and then anyone that loves dogs raises their hand or stands up. So I just shared a couple other examples there. Sheldon was there. A lot of folks love Sheldon. So anyway, that's a great activity that I've used to bring together large groups of people, but it works in small group settings as well. So it could be a team of 3 to 4 people, and they usually find it pretty helpful. So another activity that I have done is basically called story time. And you write a team story within 5 to 7 minutes. And I've used this in very intense 24 to 48 hour hackathons where you have, again, a group of people who are all interested in the challenge, but we don't know each other. We can be somewhat awkward when introducing our names and our experience and our skills. So what I like to do is just open up with this activity to number 1, have a bond, and number 2, make it fun. It's very simple. basically you write a story together. So person one, and you can see it on the slide, can say, oh, I walk into a jazz club, and person two could be like, okay, there's a giant lizard that comes on stage. Person three could say anything, doesn't have to be that he's playing a saxophone, but you go so on and so forth until, 5 to 7 minutes in, you'll realize that it gets very ridiculous, very fun. People open up, you see their personalities, you see what they like, but people get comfortable. And usually after this activity, we dive right back into, okay, what are your skills? What are your passions? What are we trying to achieve in our project? And mapping out what we're going to do over the hackathon. And I found this activity to be very successful, and I encourage you to try it. But yeah, that's all I have. Just those, the reflection exercise, and then the 2 activities of my people, and then story time. And I hope that it'll be helpful to you as you think about the hackathon or teams that you're in right now. And you can always contact me and give me feedback on this as well. Like, hey, Sarah, I tried the game and it worked, or it didn't work, and we can talk about why. And I have tons of other things that I can offer. But yeah, any questions?
Thank you so much, Sarah. That was very useful. Points of inspiration, as you said, to our forthcoming face-to-face version of the hackathon. Can you unshare the screen for us?
Yes.
I assume that we will be able to, you will send us the slides. Yeah, I already have your slides, actually. You sent it to me, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes. Well, I turned off the camera and it has it on its own line. Yes, so here we are again. Any questions to Sarah? You have, I don't know about you, Nuno. Did you ever participate in a hackathon, by the way?
Yes, I participated in a couple of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I share the opinion of Sarah and some of the points that were presented, that in fact what I found most useful is that it's something that push you up before you participate, because you want to go prepared. You don't want to face surprises. And the people that you meet is there are people that is below your level, many people above your level, and we help each other out. So yeah, it's a great way to bring us up always and improve our confidence and self-confidence. So it's quite nice.
Yeah, the human factor, and then some very simple things that you can do to warm up the group, and getting people to know each other a little bit, just a little bit. I think that is some small tricks there that I think we might consider for the Prague Hackathon. How can you share your experiences, Dima? You have participated in many hackathons.
Yes, I have experienced, and I think the most crucial is to work as a team, because like sometimes it happens that not all people are interested, and I think even the crucial about hackathons, the most interesting thing is that you. In short time, you need to collaborate with many people, to be energetic, to share ideas. So it's what makes it different from normal work, because in normal work you have lots of time to sit, to think on your own, and so on. And here I think that it's very crucial to form team, to share common interests, and then work side by side, and comment on what each one is doing. So basically.
Yeah. So you ask a question.
And like also, it's of course it was said it is very important to at least do something that you can see. Sometimes this this hackathons happening, and the results are more like theoretical than something you can show in practice. And I think it's also quite crucial that the outcome is something practical, because from my experience, then people, even if they did like some small nice visualization and they're able to show it to others, they feel that they have done something that they can show.
Yeah, I think
this
this
is
is
what has been said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I like about the concept with the Inspire Hackathon, that's another way of overcoming this. You work very, very intensely for a limited time period, and you use a lot of your free time, as you said, Sarah. You're really giving, and then after the hackathon, nothing happens. There is nothing to pick it up. So this is very often, unless you have very highly motivated people that has nothing else to do. And then, well, I mean, life hits us hard sometimes. But what we, in order to overcome this, we have this so-called satellite Inspire hackathons to have a continuation. And the project that Dimitri and I was presenting is an example of that, where we pick up where we ended. We identified what next. What needs to be done next at the last hackathon in September, and then we are actually picking it up here. And we are also expanding the group. So Dimitri, he was not a member of the group back then, but he was a member of the other groups, and he saw the possibility to participate here. So it's there. I think that what you are adding, Sarah, is something that we can I definitely see that we can apply that on the face-to-face part of our Inspire hackathons, and try to facilitate, experiment a little. I feel like I want to experiment a little bit with that, and then to add that to the other sustainability and continuation things that we have done. So thank you so much. I don't see any other questions here, unless you have some more questions to Sarah, Dimitri, and Nuno. No, I think we are done.
No.
Yeah, I think we are done. Thank you so much. Today is the last day that you have a chance to register for the hackathon, the Prague Inspire Hackathon anyways. And there will be several, but if you want to participate here, you have to register by the end of today, the 18th of January. The hackathon is still going on virtually, so you can register today and work all weekend. Dimitri and we and our small team, we will work on Sunday, I can tell you that. And then you can come to Prague, and on the 21st, we start on the 21st, and the finale is on the 23rd. You can join one of the teams. I forgot to say, we are open if you're interested, for instance, to work with Dimitri and I and our team. You're welcome to join us. Just sign up on the web page in the planforall.eu. I should probably write this. I will include that in the chat box. And if you are or if you have a new idea when you want to create your own team, it's still time today to do that. So with that, I'll do what I said. So you see I realized that there is this is the end of the so this is the name, Plan for All with the number 4.eu. So that is the address, the name of the page where you can find everything hackathon. There is a whole lot of Inspire hackathons. Go to the Prague Inspire hackathon and you will get the information. Thank you so much. Until the next time then. Thank you all speakers. Excellent presentations and very interesting. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend, everyone.